Welcome to the Boston Bros Political Podcast. I'm Jim Campanini, co-host of the show, with my good friend, Boston Herald political columnist, Peter Lucas. We're coming to you from the cozy, comfortable, air-conditioned, InsideLowell.com studios in beautiful downtown Lowell. Our producer, Teddy Panis, is in the corner. He's got, look at him. He looks like he's going to the beach, Peter.
Looks like he just came back from the beach.
You know, well, I wore my sunglasses because I forgot to change them when I got in my car, but that the heat was scorching. But Peter, the word of the week, and I want your take on this, bunker buster. Everybody's saying as I walk down the street to the golf course, go into the market basket, the store, bunker buster. Well, what does bunker buster mean to you?
It was a terrific job. It was a mission, a military mission, the likes of which have never been seen before. These stealth bombers traveled half distance around the world, completed their mission, no casualties, no Americans were killed or injured, and it just destroyed the Iranian government.
Well, equate this operation with the withdrawal from Afghanistan.
There is no comparison.
I mean, no one knew. I mean, Trump's team, Trump and his team put together a great decoy. They flew the bombers from the east, and they were picked up by trackers. And they said, "Oh, they've left Hickman Air Force Base in Missouri. They're on the way going to Guam." And in the meantime, they took off and flew from the west. Okay, and he had the submarines with the Tomahawk missiles. So he faked everybody out. He said previously he was giving Iran, he was going to think about 2 weeks before he even used any of these bunker buster bombs. 30,000 pounds that penetrate deep into the earth. In this case, the mountainous terrain of western Iran. And when it came through, I said, "Wow, this was fantastic." No one knew anything, and the more I learned about this operation and the pilots and these planes, I says, "Wow!" It made me proud of the U.S. military. I didn't realize we have 19 of these planes, 19, each cost $2 billion a piece, and they're so secretive and high tech. You know, thank God no one's ever stolen that information. At least no one has replicated these planes. So I said to myself, I says, and they didn't hear them. No one. They're stealth bombers, you know, B-52s and B-51s. I said, I really felt good about it. Like you said, no Americans. Not even civilians. Now, granted, there might have been, if anybody stayed in those three Iran nuclear facilities, well, they're dust. They're gone. But casualties were limited to whoever was inside those places. I mean, it was a great operation.
It was terrific. Keep in mind, it was a secret operation, and nothing was leaked about the operation. Compare this to General Mark Milley, who was chief of staff previously. And remember when Biden in his first, Trump in the first term, and he was chief of staff, and Milley on his own, without the permission, authorization of the commander-in-chief, called his counterparts in China to warn them, to tell them that he would warn them if ever Trump was going to attack China. Compare that to the current chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, John
Raising Cane.
And at his press conference, going over the mission, he gave more details than you'd ever want to know. Yeah. The comparison to his operation and his demeanor to Mark Milley was astounding.
Yeah.
It was like they were chairmen of two different armies.
But how about, I mean, talk about even the refueling. I mean, a lot of things can go wrong, even with refueling in the air. These planes had to be refueled 4 to 6 times in the air. But when they took off, they weren't even fully loaded with their fuel because the bombs are so heavy, 30,000 pounds, they have to get off the ground and into the air. So soon after takeoff from Hickman Air Force Base in Missouri, they had to be refueled in the air because these were the heaviest bombs that they've ever carried, and these are the only planes that can carry those bombs. So I said to myself, wow, even the other planes flying that had to refuel these, the tanker planes to refuel these stealth bombers. I said, and it had to be done 4 to 6 times with some of those planes, the distance they were traveling. And I said, that takes a lot of, I think they said totally there's 125 planes and ships involved in this operation.
Right.
And
you look at it this way. If Joe Biden were president and this operation was underway, somebody would have tipped off the Iranians.
Yeah, you would think, and he kept this one close to vest. Only talked to his. Well, you could see the photos that they released later of him in the Situation Room. There was only I think 7 or 8 people there, and he, and there's Trump. Because most presidents, it said in the story I read, they'd come in their polo shirts and everybody sit down. There's Trump in his suit and tie and his red MAGA hat, And, he was serious. He was taking this, serious business. He knew it. But now the aftermath of that, okay, already you got Democrats, all right, and one Republican from Kentucky. They want to challenge Trump that he violated the Wars Powers Act, that only Congress can declare war, and already some Democrat strategists and columnists are saying, this is a losing strategy.
That's going nowhere.
It's going nowhere because, okay, you can talk about it constitutionally. Maybe he might have overreached or something, but in the long run, he has the power, the authority. If he sees there's an imminent danger to America and its interests, he can do this. And he didn't use any troops because under the War Powers Act, you have to, if you engage troops, you have to take them, return them back to U.S. soil or off the battlefield within 60 days if Congress has not.
That's academic. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, no, and so I'm saying to myself, they find that Americans, no matter what stripe you are, should be happy. He averted a war. He saved Israel. He actually saved the Middle East.
Not only, look, the mullahs who run Iran have promised time and time again they're going to get the bomb, the nuclear bomb, and they're going to use the first one in Israel, the second one in the United States. What is clearer than that?
Well, Peter, I ask you this, and I know this sounds like a broken record. What are the Democrats for? Are they going to be raising Iranian flags now in Congress and in the streets and protesting? I just don't understand. It was a sworn enemy of the American people. Everybody knew that.
The Democrats stand for absolutely zero.
We should show pride.
What we should be concerned is the aftermath of this bombing, because originally President Trump said he wanted unconditional surrender. Unconditional surrender, that's a phrase that we haven't used since World War II, when we used it on Germany and Japan and forced an unconditional surrender. That means the victor has the power to set up the government of the countries they've just defeated. That's what we did in World War II. We set up a new government in Germany and a new government in Japan. That is called regime change. It seems to me, if we keep the mullahs and Khomeini in charge, that'll be something of a victory for them. In order to be a complete victory and to ensure they'll never have another attempt to build a nuclear device, there needs to be a regime change. They need new players, new leaders in Iran, and hopefully a democratic process in the new government.
Okay, so how does Trump or the Middle Eastern nations, is how does he accomplish this without? He doesn't want to be a conqueror. He doesn't want to get involved in regime change. He doesn't want to put U.S. military personnel on the ground. I mean, he's been adamant about that.
He has to support the people of Iran who want a change in government, the way Obama should have, but did not during the Purple Revolution when he was president and they attempted a revolution in Iran. It didn't work. However, with support of the United States, supporting the dissidents in Iran, we could have a change of government. We need a change of government. Otherwise, nothing's going to change in the long run. Nothing.
Well, it's very interesting how the Arab nations in the Middle East have been basically silent over this attack. I think really deep down inside they're very, very happy.
Well, yeah,
they can't show it.
Their silence is an affirmation of support.
Yes, yeah, and I think as soon as the bombs landed and there was photos starting to be released, all of a sudden you get the liberal press. Oh, oil prices are going to go through the roof. Americans are going to be poor. Hasn't happened.
World War III is going to start?
Yeah, it hasn't happened. Of course, now they're saying, CNN reported yesterday, a leaked report from a source deep inside the Pentagon. Maybe they were in a bunker.
They were deep inside the bunker.
Yeah. Oh, we've only
scratched the surface
with these bunker busting bombs. Iran is within 3 to 6 months, 2 to 4 months, can have their operations up and running again. I saw Fox News then picked up on that story, ran with it, and yet the UN Atomic Energy Commission president has come out and said this has set back Iran for years. Okay, not only the destruction of infrastructure, but also the scientists that Israel previously had taken out.
Killed them.
14 scientists and commanders, military commanders. And I'm saying to myself, where did they get this information from? They said, oh, it was an early assessment, like within minutes after the bombs landed. Well, an early assessment, this is how it works. Oh, yeah, okay, they've destroyed at least 3 to 6 months worth of damage. Then you do more research. Oh, geez, it's a year to 2 year damage. But they feed off that report, and they try to turn it into a negative, like this wasn't as successful as we thought it was. And my thing is, it brought Israel and Iran to call a truce. Isn't that what Trump really wanted? And now Iran contacts the White House. They want to negotiate.
If this was Joe Biden in charge, they'd be giving him the Nobel Prize.
Yeah. Well, that's what Trump.
Because it's Trump.
See what Trump said when they said he said someone did nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize. It was a Republican from
for Pakistan and India for warding off a war there.
Yeah. But Trump said they'll never give it to me, and if they did, I should have 14 of them by now. I mean,
you asked what the Democrats are going to do. They're liable to be demonstrating this weekend over the arrest and potential deportation of all these Iranian secret cell members that have been arrested.
Yeah, that's
They're liable to protest their deportation.
11. Boy, these were mean characters. How did they get into the country?
They walked in. You know that. They walked in under Joe Biden.
One of them was working for the Revolutionary Guard. I mean,
another one was an Army sniper.
Yeah, I mean, oh my God, and just walk right into the country.
Now, Joe waved them in. Joe waved them in.
This is serious business, and boy, we have turned a blind eye for so long. Well, I'm glad it's getting back, and I really think that the world is a safer place. That Israel is breathing just a little bit better, but so is the entire Middle East and Europe that's been held hostage by the Iranian regime that is just manufactured.
How important was this? I'll tell you how important this was. When Trump went to NATO, when they arrived there yesterday, they treated him like a king.
Yeah?
Or like a rock star.
Oh, you can't use king. No kings.
All right, queen.
Okay.
No, we can't use queen either.
Like a rock star.
Like a rock star.
No.
Okay? You know, when he first went to NATO, in his first administration, they sort of mocked him behind his back. Okay? Mm-hmm. They sort of made fun of him. He wasn't a politician like them. Now, look at it. They can't get close enough to him. They're
Yeah.
all around surrounding him. They're praising him for what he did. He showed leadership ability that no other leader has shown in a long time.
Yeah. No. Great. Now, one thing as we leave this this subject, go on to the next one, is Trump's big beautiful bill going to get passed this week?
It'll pass some form.
Yeah. Yeah.
He'll get it.
I mean, I don't like all the parts of the bill and stuff, but I think he's going to make those tax cuts permanent. I think the Congress should do that, but we'll see. We'll see what comes out of it. But, you know, it's all sausage making. We've known that.
Right.
You've covered politics over 50 years. I've been involved in documenting these politicians and how they make this stuff up. And sometimes you got to hold your nose and vote for the right thing, you know. And I think that's what's going to happen. But you mentioned the word unconditional surrender.
That's right.
Well, that brings me right into the New York City primary. Unconditional surrender. Is Andrew Cuomo done?
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, he lost to a two-term assemblyman who's an avowed socialist, I'd say a communist, Zohran Mamdani, and he's allied with AOC, Letitia James, and he got out the young vote. He promised free everything in New York if he was mayor, free bus fares, rental freezes, free this, free that. You know what? People believe it. They came out in droves. And he crushed Cuomo.
He crushed Cuomo.
But you know what? I wouldn't vote for Cuomo anyway. I mean, they're calling it a surprise, a major upset. I don't think it's an upset because, you know, I wouldn't vote for Cuomo. I mean, the guy during COVID, he was a snake. He was responsible for thousands of deaths that should have never happened through COVID. The way he treated the elderly, the veterans, and nursing homes and hospitals and stuff. It was just a shame. And you know what? You had it best. You called him a thug. He is. He ruled like a thug.
Yeah, he was. And
When he was governor of New York.
But the real winner in the primary Tuesday was not on the ballot. Incumbent Mayor Eric Adams.
Yes. Yeah.
He's running as an independent.
Right.
And so
He's given him new life.
And it seems to me that he's an odds-on favorite to be reelected because I don't think even in New York they'll vote for this socialist as mayor who has no idea about governing, no idea at all.
But think of New York City, though, how it's changed. I mean, this Mamdani, they said he was out. Well, he didn't have that much cash, but the cash he did has, he used it very well. He did a big social media campaign. He walked.
But don't forget, he was running against a, quote, establishment Democrat, Cuomo. And the establishment Democrat Party is finished in this country.
Okay, that's the point. Yes.
And
the way you operate and run campaigns is over.
And as leftist as this Mamdani is, he was a voice of objection to the way the Democratic Party is functioning today, which is hardly functioning at all. And he campaigned in a new way. He campaigned through the social media. His ideas are off the wall. You know, state-run grocery stores and free buses and free this and free that, and you know, it's liable not to fly.
So, how many people live in New York City? What is it? Because it's the second most populous.
It used to be 8 million.
Yeah, it's around there because I think Los Angeles now is the most populous city. But Mamdani in the primary election got the preliminary count 430,000 votes. They have that. Is it 8 million? Yeah, 8 million. So they have that ranked voting. So this was the first thing. They still got to go through 7 more. I think 7 more results. Okay, but he's way ahead. He's got 470,000 votes. Cuomo only had 330,000.
And Cuomo's conceded. He's conceded.
Yeah, he's already conceded. So he knows he's not going to get it. And but the other interesting thing is former leader of the Guardian Angels, Curtis Sliwa. He's running as a Republican.
Yeah.
Does he have any chance? You think?
No. No, I think the big winner is Eric Adams, who's already on the campaign trail.
Yeah.
And he's talking about Mandani, who has no record, Cuomo, who ran away from his record, and himself, who has a record.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, he's also lucky he doesn't have a criminal record. Okay, because that's the other thing. I mean, this guy is.
he got a pardon.
He got a pardon from President Trump, and a bunch of people on his staff resigned, or in I guess in the DA's office and stuff, because I think they had the goods on him, and bribery, and basically it revolved around accepting foreign gifts.
Hey, maybe all these young people in New York thought Mandani was an illegal immigrant. So they voted for him.
That's possible. So, unconditional surrender. Andrew Cuomo, hopefully, good riddance. Write another poor-selling book, okay? And stay out of, stay out of New York City.
Hey,
okay?
don't knock poor-selling books. I've got a couple of them.
but all these people who write these revisionist history books and stuff, so I just say this quickly. I went up to Barnes and Noble. It was a really hot day the other day. I said, "Hey, Barnes and Noble's is air conditioned." I went there. And it was nice. I took a friend of mine. We walked around the store for 45 minutes. Looked at because I like the mystery mystery thrillers, and looking around. Well, the book Uncharted and Original Sin, stacks of them. No one was picking up anyone. No one was buying either one of the books. But I was kind of surprised. The stack of Melania. Did you know she wrote a book?
No.
Melania Trump. She wrote a book. I mean, it was so it's on the shelves and stuff, and all these books, and her shelf showed it was half of it was gone, and I mean that's not a real accurate survey, but still people the books were selling, whereas these books they were just stacked to the ceiling almost, and no one was going by and looking at them.
Are we off the mayoral thing, or do you want to talk about the mayoral race in Boston?
Yes, let's segue. Okay, so to Michelle Wu, I tell you, she's getting deeper and deeper involved in this scandal at City Hall. She doesn't have the right answers, and I think
You mean that's the love triangle?
the love triangle. I think Jonathan Kraft. But you know what this is doing? This is starting to point arrows at her overall administration and leadership. So if this was handled the way it was, you got to start wondering what else is she hiding.
There's probably a lot there, but she's still the front runner. She's the incumbent, and Josh Kraft has still a lot of work to do. I suggested that Josh Kraft should go to some ICE arrangement and battle with ICE and get arrested, like other Democrats do. Then he could run on that.
Well, I think that's a good point. I don't know if he's got he's got the money. I don't know how well he's using, but last night, evidently it was reported in this morning about a social media campaign. It was an anonymous text that went out, and it had all the headlines from the Herald, the Globe, Boston.com, negative headlines involving Wu and her administration, about this sex triangle and everything. So it wasn't a good look for Michelle Wu, and they traced it to a PAC, okay, and obviously Kraft supporters, I believe, were behind it and stuff. But so they're getting really attack mode. Do you know what I mean? They're getting vicious right now. Although
they're going to have to do something. He is too close to her on the issues, the major issues, immigration.
Yeah.
That's why I suggested you go out and get arrested.
Yeah.
At least do something different on immigration from her. And anti-Trump. They're both anti-Trump. And it seems to me there's only two issues: bike lanes, which are a pain, and White Stadium, which I don't know anything about.
Right, right. I know, and the what the taxpayers are going to have to pay for that stadium keeps fluctuating, which tells me it's somewhere in the middle, from $91 million up to $172 million. You know they're fudging numbers, just like they did on the Lowell High School project, which was supposed to be originally around $353 million. Now it's almost up to $100 million more, and delayed another year. That vote, the Lowell vote was passed in 2016. The high school's not going to be done until 2027. Let's see how they do White Stadium, but I don't think that's going to get done anytime soon. But yeah, so there's cracks in that facade for Michelle Wu. And, the only thing about Jonathan Kraft, have you met him?
No, I've not. No.
He might be a nice guy, but he doesn't seem dynamic, even when he's on, television. I see him on television and talking, and
I think
he sounds intelligent, but
I think he's too much in the hands of consultants.
Yeah.
They shape him rather than him shaping himself.
Yeah.
So you don't get the real character, the real person. Once you're in the hands of the consultants, you're doomed.
Yeah. And I must say about Michelle Wu, I mean, she seems very likable. I've never met her, but once again, seeing her talk and stuff, she seems to have passion and enthusiasm for the job, but I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes.
Well, she's, a mother of 3 children now.
Yeah.
Tough to campaign against. Really, it is,
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you call a mother,
Yeah. She's, God bless her. So anyway, so that's those are some interesting stories that we have to watch. Now, the other thing that broke overnight, former Massachusetts Senator Scott Brown says he's running for the U.S. Senate in New Hampshire. I don't know. What do you think? I think Scott Brown petered out. He hit his high point in Massachusetts.
I would not underestimate Scott Brown.
Really?
I would not. I think he'd be a good candidate. I think a refreshed Scott Brown would be refreshing in New Hampshire. And I think he'll be a serious candidate. I really do.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay. Didn't his wife run for Congress?
Yeah, she ran for Congress and lost.
She
The
lost.
first district, I believe,
district.
Pappas.
So you think Scott Brown, with his Massachusetts brand of republicanism, although, was he a Trump supporter? I think he was a Trump supporter the first time around.
When he ran for the Senate in Massachusetts, nobody gave him a chance. He campaigned so well. He was so effective. He caught lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
And he won that campaign. And I think he can do that type of campaign again.
Well, the key is going to be if he can attract funding, campaign funding. I know he did pretty well the last time he ran for U.S. Senate in New Hampshire, but he still lost. But he did built up a pretty good.
If he were in Massachusetts, he could probably beat Eddie Mackey, who's up for re-election in 2 years.
Well, maybe he should move back to Massachusetts.
Because the Republicans have no one running against Ed Mackey as of now.
Well, but you know what? You've got this. He does have one that person from Acton, Izul, who's running.
Yeah. No real name Republican.
But this victory in New York City by this socialist young guy, 30, tells me that the progressives are figuring it out, how to take on these traditional longtime incumbents and beat them. Okay, and their big thing is social media, and they have the energy to get out there and meet the people. They said Cuomo didn't even walk downtown or anything, so I don't know. Maybe he didn't want to perspire or something. That guy, he always looks like he just came out of a salon.
Boy, he never was known to break a sweat. So.
Yeah. So going back to that Scott Brown story, that's going to be interesting. We're going to have to watch that and see what the reaction is from Republicans in New Hampshire. Will they embrace Scott Brown, or will they reject?
Well, he's been up there for a while.
Yeah,
he's lived there
but
for
he
a
already
while.
had one shot.
And so
Yeah. Come back again?
What, Abe Lincoln ran 4 times, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, good point. Yeah. So that's pretty good. So what else you got on your logbook? You said you're writing a pretty good column for tomorrow.
Tomorrow's on I don't want to go. We don't want to go back about talking about Iran, but it seems to me that what Trump has accomplished has been devastating for the Democratic Party. They have no answer to anything that he's done, and the two big issues, they're on the wrong side: deportation, number one, and now criticizing Trump on this amazing coup that he pulled off in Iran. Yeah. And I say coup because I believe that the government will be replaced shortly.
Yeah.
But speaking about government, well, we should be talking about how they're changing the rules in the Massachusetts legislature.
Oh, that's a but go on. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. What do you think? What rules? They make the rules to bend them.
No, my theory is that they change the rules so everything is the same. It just looks as though they've changed things, and they make the Boston Globe happy. Look at the people who wanted rules changed, wanted how they voted in committee hearings, and they wanted committee reports. To me, we don't even print roll calls on regular debates, and we're not going to be running roll calls on committee votes. It's just absurd, and but it appeases the progressives, and the legislature goes on doing what it's always been able to do.
Well,
look,
I'm not hopeful. This is a state legislature, okay, that has defied the will of the people. The ballot question, where for a state audit of the legislature, 72% of the voters in this state voted for an audit of the legislature.
Right.
Okay, by the auditor's office.
Right. And where's that
they
been?
have stalled, come up with all kinds of reasons to denigrate it, condemn it, and basically stay in their own little world.
It's all hocus pocus.
Yes.
Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
And even though 72% of the people voted for it, it's going nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me tell you, I covered the legislature a long time. Life is short. The legislature is long.
Yeah. Well, I remember, when I was the editor of the Sun and writing editorials about the legislature. They have to supposedly complete the budget in their business by July 1st, the fiscal year. And they always went late. They always went over, and I'd write editorial after editorial. Why do they wait till the last week before they try to pass any bills? They've got a 2-year legislative session. They just don't do anything except run fundraisers and it's just continue. And that was 30 years ago when I first came to the Lowell Sun and started writing and looking and covering the legislature and other political bodies. And it hasn't changed. So it's not going to change now.
It's very difficult. But I had coffee with 𝐂𝐚𝐬𝐬 the other morning. He's one of 2 Republicans running for governor in Massachusetts. And what he pointed out was kind of interesting. And he said that you only have a good government if you have some balance. And in Massachusetts, even though it's a heavily Democratic state, 5 of the last governors of Massachusetts have been Republicans. And he wants to be the 6th. And it seems to him and to other people that the government works better or best if you have a Republican governor and a Democratic legislature playing off one another, like they did during the Charlie Baker years, the 8 years he was governor. It's something to consider. It's something to consider, particularly as Maura Healey has not established herself as a very, very strong governor, although she works the job, and could be open to a serious challenge. I'm not saying that 𝐂𝐚𝐬𝐬 is the guy to do it. However, he's in the mix.
Well, that sounds good. So, do you think he's the type that could energize the Republican Party plus independents? Did he seem that?
Yeah, I think both him and Joe and Brian Shortsleeve, both could, if they have the adequate financing, could revitalize the Republican Party and attract a lot of independents. You need independents to win a governor's fight. And it's an off year, so it won't be a major turnout. And who knows what can happen.
Did you ask Mr. Keneally if he would extend an invitation to President Trump to maybe visit?
No, but he said that he would work with Trump. He would go to Washington. He could deal with Trump, and they should work with the president. That he didn't vote for him. He said, but I'll have to work for him. I look forward to working for him. And we don't have that right now. We don't have much of a relationship between Governor Healy and Donald Trump, to say the least.
Well, do you see any chinks in the armor for Governor Maura Healy based on her response to the immigration?
Well, the immigration has been the big issue.
Yeah.
We don't know how much it's even cost us to pay for the housing, feeding, and caring for all these illegal immigrants. It's anywhere from $1 billion to $3 billion that's costing taxpayers. And there's, the only end in sight has come about through Donald Trump, who shut down the border. And because he did, the influx has stopped.
Yeah.
And even though he did that, nobody gives him any credit for him around here.
Right.
And
Yeah.
but it's still a major issue because, look, everybody's talking about housing. There's not enough housing.
Yeah.
There's not enough housing for regular citizens, let alone illegal immigrants.
Wow, interesting. So, if you should take a look at tomorrow's newspaper, the Boston Herald, in Peter Lucas's column. He writes a political column on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday. They're must-reads from a viewpoint that is very unique in this Massachusetts liberal democratic environment. But Peter's pretty he's honest, and it's fact-based, and it'll probably be a great interview. You wrote a great column last week. I just want to ask, you wrote about Maura Healy giving the rosary beads to the son of a legal immigrant, and he was an illegal immigrant. The kid is 18 years old. He had been detained by ICE for 6 days, caused the cause celeb. Everybody in, what community was that there? Methuen? Milford, yeah. Having vigils.
Marcelo Garcia.
Marcelo, yeah, Garcia. So what was the, I love the line you called her Saint Maura.
Saint Maura.
But you mentioned that on our last show, too, that you were writing that column. Well, the column was better than anything we talked about. It was classic. Peter Lucas, just the right amount of sarcasm. But you know what? You didn't denigrate anybody. You just told the story, and it was a great narrative. Reminded me of Jimmy Breslin. Really did.
Oh, Breslin.
Yeah. And but any reaction?
Oh, yeah. People got a kick out of it.
Yeah.
Because the tone was such that I wasn't mocking anybody or anything like that.
That's right. You didn't mock anybody. You told it straight, but you showed your classic Peter Lucas wit with restraint. That's what I love it. There's some columnists who just want to load you down with that stuff.
Well, it was kind of interesting. I've never known a governor. In the past, the governor would open up the closet and give a visiting guest a Revere bowl, or something like that. This is the first governor who ever gave somebody rosary beads.
I know.
Blessed by the Pope,
Blessed
no
by
less.
Pope Francis. So that was great.
And I'm afraid, it might set a precedent. Future governors will have to stock up on rosary beads.
But it was a classic. Unfortunately, if the Boston Herald ever submitted it to the New England Newspaper Association contest, they'll probably throw it in the waste basket because I was the president for that organization, and let me tell you, conservative columnists, of which I was one of them, you didn't get the first base.
Look,
The
newspaper prizes are the bane of the industry.
Yeah.
They do more damage than they do good. Look at the Pulitzer Prizes. The Washington Post, the New York Times got all these prizes for phony stories.
Yeah, the phony stories. Unbelievable. What a joke.
Russian collusion. The laptop.
Yeah. So and no one gives the prize back.
You know what the prize is? The prize is the story.
Yeah. So switching gears, I want to get your take on. We had a big verdict this week. Well, on last week, Karen Reed. Okay. She was found not guilty on 2 major charges. She was found guilty for the lesser charge of driving under the influence, and she received a 1 year probation for that, which any first-time offender would get. But that really sent shockwaves through the legal community, Massachusetts. I mean, and last night, the jury foreman, he came out and he said in a TV interview, he was urging the FBI to reopen an investigation. He says, because things were so shoddy, he said all the jurors, the 12 of them, agreed that the state didn't prove its case, and they were really bewildered by this trial. And they said something happened to poor, to John O'Keefe, a former Boston police officer. They felt really bad for the family, and John O'Keefe said, and they deserve justice. But it wasn't convicting Karen Reed. Yeah. So which tells me they believe someone is out there, the murderer, or I'm sorry, maybe it was an accident or whatever. But John Reed deserves justice. He's basically saying. Your take on it?
My take on it is that District Attorney Michael Morrissey is in trouble if he seeks re-election, because it was his agency that oversaw the investigations and the trial. In one of the interviews, I was impressed where Miss Reed was giving an interview, and she was talking about Canton and the region and how everyone is related to everybody else. And she said how everybody drives around drunk and nobody cares. So, I mean, and one of the things that did happen was all the principals were drunk that night and in the middle of a snowstorm. And who knows what happened. But I thought the key testimony was the snowplow driver who drove by and did not see a body there when the body was supposed to be there.
Peter, I've only been through. I've passed Canton many times on my way to Rhode Island to visit my family and stuff. I think I've only purchased gas once or twice in my life in my 30 years in Massachusetts, but the whole trial. And this was a rogue, I don't want to even say rogue, this was a core group of people who partied. They were into swapping parties. I mean, really a different lifestyle, drinking, but it involved police officers, middle class and upper families. But she's right. I mean, they're so close together. It's incestuous. It
was incestuous.
And that there's a lot of good, hardworking people in Canton. And the whole town was just dragged through the mud, over this trial. But the way it was run, there's been investigations into that police department before. I mean, I hope they rectify all this, but it didn't come up. And this story played nationally. You should see the comments on some of these bulletin boards and what they say about Massachusetts and Canton, the police, the state police, Morrissey's office. How do you come back from that?
The trial put Canton on the map in the worst possible way.
Yeah. And it wasn't Canton and China. It was Canton and Massachusetts. Canton. So, but you might think it was, but it's unbelievable. Do you think that the FBI might reopen this case? Or you think they've had enough?
No, I think it will be reopened.
Really?
Because it begs to be reopened. Look, the police officer is dead. Somebody caused the death. And he didn't die of natural causes. So obviously, someone killed him.
Yeah. And
that someone is probably still out there. If it wasn't Karen Reed, then who was it?
Well, I think you're right about Morrissey, because the bill hasn't even been revealed yet for the special prosecutor that Morrissey hired, Hank Brennan, who he already sent in an invoice for $400,000, and that was midway through this trial. And then he had all these expert witnesses come on and testify and everything else. He's going to be up to about $750,000 before this is over. And that's the taxpayers of Norfolk County going to pick up the bill for that, besides all the state police charges and everything else. And to think that, the prosecutor from Morrissey's office, Mr. Lally, I forget his first name, he gets paid $144,000 a year. He prosecuted the first trial. I mean, he walked away, it was a mistrial. but he was right on the cusp of getting a verdict. This guy loses outright, and the jury foreman says, "Hey, they didn't even come close to proving their case." So he didn't even move the needle in a retrial. This is a total disaster.
Not only that, but now you're going to have a slew of civil suits.
Yeah.
Okay. Karen Reed can sue anybody. I mean, she can sue the district attorney's office. She can sue the cops. She can sue the state police.
Yeah. And the O'Keefe family has already started.
And the O'Keefe family is suing her.
Suing her civil suit. So interesting. So this saga is not over. The verdict might be rendered, but we're going to hear more about this.
That's right.
And it'll probably be a long-running Netflix series before we get to the end of this. Okay. So there was what else is on your plate? Anything else?
Let's see. Speaker Ron Mariano, Speaker of the Massachusetts House, has announced that he's going to seek another term as Speaker, which is kind of interesting because, there are other younger people who want to take over the office. However, but up at the legislature, it's kind of a good thing all around that he's sticking around because even though he's a Democrat and a liberal, he's a down-to-earth, moderate, common-sense liberal, as opposed to the Senate chamber where Senator Karen Spilka is, a complete leftist. And I think this gives the legislature balance.
Yeah. So, well, that's...
And the other thing I'm going to do, after this is over, I'm going out to buy some Iranian flags to give to my Democrat friends so they have something to wave this weekend.
Oh, man, that's incredible. But you know what? Hey, it's said, I know, in jest, but you're probably right. There probably will be some pro-Iranian demonstrations, parades or something, but that's the way it is, I guess. And in America in the 21st century, so it's.
But I'll get pirate flags; they won't know the difference.
Yeah, Barbary pirates. That's good. That's good. So until our next show, I say that you take a look at Peter's column in the Boston Herald, once again, Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturday. And, try to stay cool out there. It's been awfully hot. Oh, one last thing. I read a column from someone who drives to Cape Cod. I think they were from just outside of Somerville. It said it took him 5 hours to drive down there and come back for a day trip. And he said he wrote a column in the Boston Globe, but it is a great column. He said, "Is it really worth it?" He said, "I love the Cape." But he famously came back. He says, "Until those bridges are done or something is done to transportation, they won't be seeing me at the Cape much longer." But what a shame. And we still don't have any money funding from the federal government for those bridges.
Well, Obama is down there, and that's the way he wants it.
All right. This is Jim Campanini signing off with Peter Lucas. Have a great week. Stay cool.